everyone, welcome. I'm Jennifer Shlomovich, and I help busy women simplify plant-based living so they can improve their health, save time, and feel supported, even if their family isn't on board. Here on the Confident Vegan channel, you'll find insightful interviews with inspiring vegans, practical tips for plant-based living, and empowering conversations about what it really means to live in alignment with your values. I am also the co-host of That Vegan Morning Show with Kimberly Winters from the Did You Bring the Hummus podcast. You can start your day the vegan way and watch us live every Monday morning at 7 a.m. Eastern on YouTube at That Vegan Morning Show. Today, my special guest is Terry Crispin, whose new book, Fabulous Health, A Simple Plan to Get Well and Stay Well, has hit #1 in 10 categories in multiple countries on Amazon since its launch on June 23rd, 2025. Terry is also the founder of Fabulous Health and a certified nutritionist with a master's degree in human nutrition. She is also a board-certified diplomat of the American College of Lifestyle Medicine. And through her work, Terry has helped countless of individuals improve their health by adopting a whole plant foods lifestyle and making sustainable lifestyle changes. Welcome, Terry.
Thanks so much for having me, Jennifer. I'm really, really happy to be here.
I'm really, really happy to have you here. We met last week and we had an amazing conversation. And I know today we're going to have an amazing conversation. So I'm really excited to have you here. So thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to hang out with me for a little bit.
No, my pleasure, my pleasure. I think we both hit it off, right? As soon as I met you, I just knew I was a kindred spirit. I really love the fact that you help people go through stuff when they don't have support. I think that is just beautiful because not everybody wants to be plant-based, do they? Not everybody wants to be a vegan and not everybody can see what you and I can see. It's
Right.
very, very important to have support, isn't it?
100%. And that used to be me. I was the person who, didn't have the support. I mean, my husband, he's not vegan. He's supportive by, oops, I just hit my microphone. He's supportive by, supporting what I want to do for myself. But I had to find a way to make the lifestyle fit within our household. And that inspired me to create this platform. So it's interesting how old versions of ourselves help us to be inspired to help other people who are where we used to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I always start off my interviews asking, what is your vegan story?
It's a long one. So unfortunately, I didn't just wake up one day and ta-da, see the light and become vegan. That did happen, but at the end of the story. So I became vegetarian when I was 18 years old. I was struggling with my weight and I wanted to give up something that wasn't chocolate. So that's my nutritional knowledge at the time. Zero. So I thought, well, I don't want to hurt cows and pigs and sheep, and I didn't like the idea of killing animals. So I was just like, that's it. I'll just give up meat. That's easy. So it wasn't that part of my lifestyle wasn't difficult at all. I just decided one day that I wasn't going to hurt any more animals, and then I was just going to keep living and being a vegetarian. And I thought all of a sudden my angel wings were growing, and I still ate dairy and eggs and cheese and things like that. And I had a girlfriend who became vegan sometime in that period of early 20s or whatever, and for years. And certainly when social media started, so 2010, say, when I was back in Australia, she started sending me horrific videos of animal torture and stuff, and I was just like, dude, stop. Right, I'm not the enemy here. Like, I've been vegetarian at this point for 20 years, so I'm not the enemy. Just stop doing that. And she said, no, but you are, because the dairy and the eggs are hurting the cows and the chickens. And I said, no, that can't be true. And I also wanted to know at that point in time, I wanted to know about the science, because through my life, I had started to become interested in nutrition. And I got my degree in sports science, sports and exercise science. Didn't go back to university till I was 40. And then when I was 50, I got my master's in nutrition. So I was very interested in nutrition. I know I'm talking in circles a little bit, but while I was doing my master's, I was starting to read the literature, and there was literature about the meat being bad for health and all the things. And she pointed me to some studies that showed that dairy was really bad for your health, and that the cows were being tortured, and that it was not all beautiful, green fields and buttercups and stuff like that. So I stopped overnight in 2015. I became vegan, and not just plant-based but vegan. So when we bought a car, I went to the car yard and I said, I want the car with all the things except for the leather seats. And they said, well, you can't have a car with all the things if it doesn't have leather seats, because you want the upgrade, and the upgrade is the leather. I said, well, I want the downgrade plus all the things. Like, I want heated seats and I want the heated steering wheel because we live in the snow. So they had to make me a car. They had to get a cheap version of the car, and then they had to add all the things that I wanted onto it, because there was no way I was going to spend my money on leather seats. I stopped buying leather handbags. I stopped buying any kind of products that had lanolin in them, animal products and things like that. So for me, it was both things, both a health perspective and also saving the animals. So I've been completely vegan since 2015, November the 1st.
Thank you for sharing all of that. And yeah, it's interesting. I can relate to some of your story with the dairy. That's how I ended up being vegan. And I didn't at the time didn't even think I was gonna be vegan. I was struggling with rosacea and eczema, and I was reading how certain foods can trigger like an inflammatory response. And I decided to do a little experiment and give up dairy for 30 days. And I felt better in ways I didn't even like. Dairy really makes us feel crappy in ways we don't even realize, because that's our normal operating system until
Mm,
we give it up. And and then you start like, my sinuses got better, my skin was getting better, and I just felt like this overall sense of well-being. And Googled, vegan recipes, and went on Pinterest, and I mean, not vegan, I'm sorry, dairy-free recipes. And when I
mm.
was looking up these dairy-free recipes, a lot of vegan recipes were coming up. And I'm like, wow, this food looks better than the stuff I cook, right? And
Yeah,
vegan food is not boring. I find that I
no.
was a more of a boring cook before being vegan than, and it just opened me up to this whole new world of using vegetables and plant proteins and spices that I never used before. And I wanted to eat healthier. I mean, I was okay-ish, but I wanted to do better. My mom had died from a heart attack in 2007, and with heart disease and diabetes in my family, that's kind of like a preview of what I could, run into as I get older. And I discovered forks over knives when I was going through this dairy experiment and learning about whole food plant-based. And it took me, I didn't go vegan right away after that, because but I felt like this call to really go vegan. And it took me like 2 years. I started watching the documentaries a little bit, and what goes on in animal agriculture, like with the meat stuff. But it didn't really click until I really started, like, we have that cognitive dissonance, right? Because it's normal to eat animals, and
Mm,
when we get them from the grocery store, right, we don't see the process of how they got there. And then the
mm,
eggs and dairy, like you were saying, the whole process in the dairy industry, it's not buttercups and, fields of happiness for these cows, right? Because
mm,
they're going through forced impregnation, then their babies are being taken away, and they're just being mistreated on so many levels. And I'm very much into energy, and you're consuming the energy of suffering and all of that. And so I wanted to be vegan, but I didn't know how I could be vegan, because I knew my family would want to be vegan. And it took me like
mm.
2 years to kind of sort that all out for myself. Um, but isn't it amazing how, like, people think that when you make these changes, oh, you're so restricted. Oh,
Yeah.
but you're not. right? Like
No.
there's all this amazing stuff out there and your body feels better. And there's look, there is a place for medicine and sometimes people do need medical treatments, but we could really make a difference with our health by what we put on our plate most of the time, right? I feel like everything's in balance. Like I still have my vegan treats, right? If you want the vegan ice cream, you can get the vegan ice cream once in a while. You can still have your treats, but what we put on our plate makes such a difference, and that's why I'm really excited to have you here. Not that I love chatting with you, but you wrote this book here called, Fabulous Health, and the cover looks amazing. And we're going to talk about the cover in a little bit. But can you share what inspired you to create this book?
Well, Jennifer, my story kind of mimics yours. I lost my dad to a massive heart attack. He was 51 years old. His entire family was obese. His sisters were morbidly obese. And I'm talking in the 1970s.
Mhm.
My cousins, morbidly obese, couldn't find clothes to fit them. They had to walk around in muumuus. Um, and always on a diet, always on a diet. My dad struggled with his weight as long as hello, my entire life, he struggled with his weight. He was on some kind of medication. I don't know what, probably high blood pressure medication, maybe statins. I'm not sure. He had his gallbladder removed when he was 48. Nobody told me, and I don't think anybody told him, that he could change his outlook if he changed his lifestyle. And in
Mhm.
fact, back then, we're talking late 80s, he died in 1992.
Mhm.
There was a paper put out by Dr. Dean Ornish in 1990, how he got the very, very first paper that proved that you could reverse the signs and symptoms of heart disease using a whole food, plant-based lifestyle, plus also things like stress reduction and exercise and connection to others and all the things that Dr. Dean Ornish talks about in all his books and his teachings. And the Australian Cardiology Society rejected it and said, no, that's not true. Like, heart disease is either genetic or bad luck or just a natural part of aging. And we all know after 35 years that's actually false. And I'm happy to say that the Australian Cardiology Association or Society, wherever they are, I don't remember their name, they've changed their tune a little, right? Because now they can't fight against the evidence. But my dad didn't get any advice. So,
Mhm.
number one, they took his gallbladder out. Now, I'm not a doctor, but you don't need to take people's gallbladders out when you can just not eat the fat, right? Because the saturated fat, what your gallbladder does, if people don't know what gallbladders do, they process the fat, they help digest the fat. And without that bile that the gallbladder makes, then you can't process fat. So he has his gallbladder out and then he's still eating the junk, right? He's still eating the fat. Then what's his liver doing? His liver's freaking out because he has to process all this stuff. So wrong advice, couldn't make changes, didn't know he had to make changes, had no idea he had heart disease, and then he died. So that was horrible. And it really, look, it ruined my life. I won't sugarcoat it. It's been horrible not having my dad. And I know that for you, it's been horrible not having your mum, right? It sucks losing people that we love. So
Yeah.
the reason I wrote this book is because I was doing private consultations with people. They signed up for, say, 3 months or whatever, and they were finding it difficult to make the changes because they only had this much time with me. Okay, you've paid for X and you paid for Y, and then we're going to get it all done in this period of time. And some people would make the changes, and that was awesome. And they'd go off on their happy way, and they'd lower their blood pressure, and they'd get off their statins, and all the things that would happen. But some people found it quite difficult, and I think it's because they didn't delve into the why they were eating the way that they were eating and how to assimilate it into their life. And so I felt kind of like a failure. Like I got this one person in front of me, and it doesn't matter how many times I try to help them, they're still going to have their eggs and bacon for breakfast, right? And that broke my heart. So I thought, okay, well, if I can put it all down in writing, then they'll have me in their back pocket at all times. So if they need help, they don't have to wait till next week to speak to me. They just need to read the book and go to the page that talks to them about why the eggs and bacon are not going to be good for them, and give them options. What can I have for breakfast instead of this? The other thing is that a book can help 100,000 people at one time, right? Depending on how many books I sell. I can tell you I have not sold 100,000 copies. I hope I do, because I want to help 100,000 people. No, that's a lie. I want to help 1,000,000 people. You know what I'm saying? Helping one person at a time is beneficial if you can help that person. But when you can't help that person for whatever reasons, whatever things are going on in their life, the book is there so that people can always have me on hand. If they need a little bit of Terry, they could just open up the book and there I am. And I put everything into the book. It took me 3 years to write. It's 300 pages. I probably could have made it 600 pages, but then I'd bore everybody stupid. So cut lots of stuff out of it, so that I only have given people the information that they need to make positive, lasting changes. And I just hope that for $25 or whatever it costs for the book, people can change their life. They don't have to spend the expensive money that I charged one-on-one, right? Because a private nutritionist with all my education and knowledge is expensive. So spend a little bit of money and get the same value, and I hope that I can help people move into a more healthful eating style. And even though I am an ethical vegan, I don't hit people over the head with a vegan stick. I say to them, there are atrocities. You can go and look for them somewhere else. I'm here to help your health. I'm not here to hit you over the head with a vegan stick and tell you about all the nasties, because I was hit over the head with a vegan stick and I hated it. So, and I don't want to look at those videos, but I have made changes in my life. So I believe that I'm helping the animals by not eating them. I'm also helping the animals by helping other people not to eat them. So that's my activism. I don't need to send all my friends and family videos that will scar them psychologically for life. And I'm very empathetic, and I don't want to see that at all. Last night, my husband and I were watching South Park, and there was this, it's a cartoon. If you don't know what South Park is, it's a cartoon. And it's quite rude sometimes. And they were having a go at this lady, and she shot these puppies, little tiny weeny cartoon puppies. I was like, I can't, like, it's not even real. I cannot watch a cartoon basically point out that this lady was wrong by making these animations of her doing something that was just heinous. I just can't watch that kind of stuff. So you don't need to do that to be a vegan. You can just not buy the leather handbag, and you can just not eat the cows and the chickens and the sheep, and you can just buy the non-dairy stuff, right? So you don't need to be an activist to be a vegan.
I love all the things you just said, and I'm sorry about your dad. And yeah, we've come a long way with the knowledge. There's more out there, and more doctors are starting to understand this, but not as many as there should be that understand this stuff. There's still those who are still behind on the times and behind on the information. And that's why we have to do the work that we're doing, spreading it out there so people can become aware of it. We're not doctors, but we can help point people in the right direction to eat. And you have the nutritionist background, which is great. And people want to work one-on-one, then they can pay that premium price, and it's well earned, because it takes time to learn all of these different things. But it's amazing that you created this book that anybody can afford, and then they can share it too, right? Because we're always and it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle change, right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. There's a difference between dieting and lifestyle changes. Dietings are fads. Before vegan, I used to do all of them. Slim Fast, South Beach, I tried those. I dropped some weight really fast, and then I would hit a plateau, get frustrated, and gain it all back and then some again, right? And
Yeah.
and then with this, it's, it allows you to eat food. Like what I love about whole food plant-based eating is I can eat healthy without feeling deprived. And
Yes.
and I think
Mm.
a lot of it when it comes to food, it's about the flavors, right? It's not as I started eating this way before going vegan, but just, trying recipes out, you don't need animal products for it to taste good. It's about the textures and the flavor. So using spices, and you can make really healthy, flavorful salad dressings that aren't loaded with oil and salt, right?
Yeah.
And I love dressing and sauces on things. So if you can give me something that tastes like a dressing or a sauce that I love, but it doesn't have all the garbage in it that's not good for me, then I will eat a lot more salads and a lot more of the other stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's so important that, and this information, it helps. And the more of us out there promoting it, the more people are going to learn and understand it. And they're going to learn that you can take charge of your health. And I also have had this conversation before with people that, yeah, there are genetic issues, or, people are, sometimes you can get sick with something that goes beyond diet, but your diet is still going to impact how you heal or get well, or how you fight these things off, right? So
Yeah.
it no matter, we need to fuel our bodies with healthy food as much as possible to help reverse disease, prevent disease, and if someone does have something, it can at least help, heal it, and recovery, and all of those other things. So just what we put on our plate really has a big impact on our lives on so many levels.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think there's a misconception out there somewhere, in some part of the plant-based community, that it's the panacea and it will cure all ills.
Hmm.
And the fact of the matter is, illness still may come, but it will come much less than it will if you are fueling your body with inflammatory foods, foods with chemicals, foods with hormones from other creatures, foods with antibiotics, foods with other medications, and all these toxins coming into your body. And then you're dealing with illness as well, whether that be diabetes or heart disease or PCOS or rheumatoid arthritis or whatever that is, any measure of non-communicable diseases. Once you stop putting all those toxins and bad things into your body, then you've got a baseline. So your baseline could be, wacko the duck, I'm cured, right? And that's absolutely totally possible. Or your baseline could be, wow, my insulin is now 25% of what it used to be. And wow, I'm not on high blood pressure meds anymore. And I'm on the lowest statin instead of I'm on the highest statin and the highest uh, blood pressure medication. It could be that I only need some anti-rheumatoid arthritis medications, but my fingers are great and I can walk down the stairs better and I don't have that pain. Look, we are all different creatures. Some
Hmm.
people will react miraculously and it will be like, la la, like I'm cured. And that is fantastic. And I know some of the people in the plant-based universe promote that, and it's awesome because that's what people want to hear. I had this and I ate plants and now I don't have this, and that's great. But for most of us, it makes things a little easier. So, for example, I don't have to worry too much about my weight anymore. But having said that, I haven't really eaten any animal products for like 35 years, but I was eating the cheese and the eggies for, so let's say 10 years. If I decide to eat fries or lots of cashew nuts or anything that's kind of heavy on fat, desserts made out of, like vegan cheesecake or things like that, and I don't exercise, I'll pack on the weight. That's just the way my body is. I'm never ever going to be a wet noodle vegan. I'm never going to be skinny. I'm never going to look like, I should have just walked off a catwalk model. I'm a healthy person. I'm at a normal BMI. I have great muscle tone. I feel fantastic. And that's all because I eat whole food plant-based.
That's wonderful. And I love how you touched on that, right? Because there is this misconception that, if you eat this way, then you should be healthy. And then people feel like there's something wrong with them because maybe they are having a health crisis, right? But again, it's having what you were saying, having that baseline and fueling your body with healthy foods is what's going to help. And yeah, look, I lost my dad at the end of 2022, and the stress after that, I gained like 30 pounds.
Mm,
And now I can't get it off. I have to
right.
I need to exercise more. And that I'm
Mm,
home a lot. I work from home. And so I have to make more of an effort to exercise because, it's otherwise it's not coming off. And I'm in my, mid 40s. So where the hormone changes and all of that, like weight is not coming off of me the same way it did 20 years ago.
no, it doesn't. It doesn't. Women, their bodies change, right? And you've had, in addition to your normal hormonal changes, now you're dealing with grief and stress. And
Right.
your body is holding on to weight, even though your conscious mind is saying, "Oh, I really want to lose this weight. I'm eating well. I'm going to exercise. I'm doing the things." Your heart is saying, "No, I'm grieving." And I'm going
Yeah.
to hold on to this. I'm going to hold on to this weight. And I'm actually reading a book at the moment called Get. I got to say the title right. Getting My Happy Back,
Mm,
and it's all about how pain and physical pain can manifest itself in our bodies from emotional pain and social pain as well as physical injury. So, in your case, and I'm not trying to be a psychologist here, but maybe your body's decided, I need protection now. And so it's not letting go of that weight. And you will work it out, right? It's not for me to tell you how to grieve. It's not for me to tell you how to work that out. But sometimes we hold on to fat because we're holding on to something else. And I know for me, that was true when I lost my dad. I held on to a ton of fat because I didn't want to let him go. And he's been gone 33 years now. And this is probably not the news you want to hear, but it's taken that long for me to kind of finally say, he's not coming back. And I need to take care of my body, my life, and look forward in respect of him,
yeah.
not trying to and the subconscious mind is crazy, and I don't mean crazy as in mentally deranged. It's weird and fantastic, and it does stuff that our conscious mind doesn't always understand. So
Right.
I think we need to give ourselves a bit of grace
Hmm.
and realize that grief is different for everybody. It might take somebody 2 years to get over a loved one. It took, I'm not even over my dad. It's been 33 years, right? So we all grieve in different ways, and some people hold on to weight. So if anybody's watching this and they're grieving too, and they're trying to lose weight, just be nice to yourself and realize that you may just be holding on to the grief. And that may be protecting you and making you feel a little better. So don't stress, Jennifer, that you're a few pounds extra weight. Live your life, deal with your grief, and I don't mean deal with it like get over it, because nobody gets over grief. I just there's there's 7 stages of grief, and I'm never going to get to the end. I can tell you that right now. I refuse to get to the end, which is acceptance, right? I just want to hold on to him. I want him to be close to me, and I don't want to ever forget him. And that's another reason why I wrote this book, because there's a whole chapter about my dad, about what he means to me. And I don't know how we got onto this conversation, but I feel for you, right? I'm feeling for you, and I'm letting you know that it's okay, and that it doesn't matter if you're a few pounds overweight. It just doesn't matter. As long as you're doing all the things that keep you healthy. So the healthy things are you're eating whole plant foods, you're getting some exercise, and hopefully you're doing something emotionally to help you with your grief.
I love everything you just shared, and thank you for that. I think because a lot of people are grieving, and grief can go beyond a loss of a loved one. It can go with a
Yeah.
job loss, a breakup, right?
Yep.
A friendship ending, right? We
Mm,
can, loss of a home,
mm,
there's so many things that can cause us to feel grief. And it's such a powerful emotion. And, it's interesting. I realized, just to kind of touch on it, because I feel like this is important, because again, it all ties in, our emotions tie in with our food and how we eat and how we take care of ourselves.
hmm.
And something that I lost my dad, it'll be 3 years in November. And I feel like I've gone to the acceptance part of it, but I've noticed that when it comes to thinking about both of my parents, part of me shuts down, because if I think about them and I miss them, it's going to be painful and I don't want to
Yep.
feel that. So
Yep.
that's where I'm at right now in my stage of grief. It's like I've accepted it, but I don't want to feel it. I don't want to feel the
Hmm.
loss. And when I lost my mom, that was unexpected. When I lost my dad, he was sick and not doing well, and we kind of knew we had time to prepare.
Hmm.
Um, and it's hard. When I lost my mom, I still had my dad. But when I lost my dad, I had no more parents. And
Yeah.
that was like a whole other form of grief that I've been processing. And, here it is now 3 years later. And yeah, when my dad was sick and when he died, I was all over the vegan pastries. He lived in Las Vegas. There was a place like a 20-minute walk from where he lived that had vegan pastries. It was like, get 3 for $12. Great. I'll
I'm there. Yeah.
sneak away for the afternoon and, enjoy myself. But yeah, it caught up with me. And so I gained it, and now it's just not trying to leave. But I loved what you said about holding on to it because you're trying to protect yourself and feel safe, because that resonated with me a lot. And I jotted
Mm.
down the name of this book because I am going to check that out. So I just really appreciate you sharing all of this, because I feel like other people can relate to this. We all deal with grief in so many different ways, and a lot of us take it out on food, right?
Yes,
Because food is comforting.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Because losing a loved one is the most painful thing that can happen to a person.
Yeah.
And there is a hole in our heart, and nothing will ever fill it. But you know what? A cherry Danish might do for the next 5 minutes. You know what
Right.
I'm saying?
Exactly. And there's
And
no
that's just
shortage.
human nature. That's just what human nature is. So I think the thing about the book is I recognize the grief is there. And I
Mhm.
guess I am through, 3 years after my dad died, Jennifer, I couldn't talk to you. There's just no way I could actually talk about it without just, crying and not being able to deal with it. So I'm really proud of you actually to do this on a live podcast. So sorry to put you in that position.
No,
But
I think this is I've had these conversations before. I talk openly about my parents when it's appropriate and comes up in conversations, because I feel like other people, when I hear other people be vulnerable and talk about the things they're dealing with, I have found those moments helpful. So I like
yeah,
to share my experiences in life in the hopes that my pain could help somebody process their own.
yeah, yeah. So one of the main things I put in the book is that just do it at your own pace, right? You don't need to go from uh let's not talk about the grieving, but you don't need to go from unhealthy, on medications, overweight, in a rut, to, you know, normal body weight, no medications, feeling fantastic, fabulous health in like 2 weeks. It's just it's not about that. It's about finding one thing that you can do today that's better than yesterday, and then tomorrow doing that thing again, and then trying another thing and doing that thing again and trying another thing. And also when it comes to the food, not being judgmental of the food. So, can we take dairy, for example? So, let's say you want to give up the dairy, which is a really easy thing to give up because there are so many alternatives. So you go, okay, I'm not going to buy milk today. I'm going to buy plant-based milk. And you put your hand in the fridge at the supermarket and you get the plant-based milk and you come home and you make your coffee and you go, that's horrible. I'm never tasting another plant-based milk ever again. But what you failed to realize is when you looked in the fridge, there was 75 different plant-based milks with different flavors, all with different textures, all with different ingredients, some with sugar, some without sugar, some with horrible additives and guar gums and preservatives and stuff you don't want. Please read the label. And some without, some with sugar, some without, chocolate, non-chocolate, whatever. So instead of thinking it's a all or nothing, I'm going to drink milk or I'm going to drink this most hideous rice milk I've ever tasted in my life that's slimy. That's not what it's like. It's like, okay, milk we know is bad for us. We don't want that anymore. Like we have to not want it anymore because we know it's bad for us. We know that it tortures animals. Okay, so then we're going to start at the front of the fridge and we're going to try that one today. It's not too bad. Next time I need milk, I'll buy this one. Next time I'll buy this one. Oh, somebody said they really like the Trader Joe's soy milk. Okay, I'll go to Trader Joe's and try that soy milk. Somebody else said they really like the Oatly. Okay, I'm going to try the Oatly. And then you get to the point where you have 3 or 4 different plant-based milks that you like for different things. I like this on my cereal. I like this in my coffee. I like this in my Ninja Creamy. Can I talk about the Ninja Creamy?
What's the
Just
Ninja? Oh, that's the Ninja, like the Ninja food processor, right?
Oh my goodness, my husband bought this thing. Now, I got to tell you, I am not an ice cream person. It's just not my thing, right? I just could, you could just give me a truck of ice cream and I'd just walk away. Like, just don't care. Plant-based or non-plant-based, I'm not interested. Anyway, he bought this Ninja Creamy and we bought a jar of peaches. We put them in the freezer. We whizzed it up and it turned into the most delicious creamy without any dairy and without any plant-based milk, just peaches frozen
So
ice
good.
creamy stuff. So then I thought, what if I got some bananas and some soy milk? Zzz. I'm an ice cream person now. All of a sudden, I like ice cream because it's not ice cream, right? It's just soy milk and bananas. So that's the thing, right? So even if you love ice cream, if you can afford it, get yourself a Ninja Creamy. If you can't afford it, that's okay. You can use your blender and just chuck the thing in the freezer. And
Yeah.
then you can make ice cream out of bananas or peaches or strawberries or whatever it is. So, and it's all about experimentation. It's not black or white. It's a very large gray area of experimentation and finding things that work for you. And believe me, not everything's going to work for you. You're going to make a dish one day and it's going to be hideous and you're going to hate it. And you're going to go, well, that's a no. All you have to do is just give it to the dog or whatever and then move on and make something else. And that's an easy thing to do because if you're feeding your dog with plant-based food, he's going to be healthier too.
I love what she said. Experiment. Yeah. And that's how it started with me going vegan. I bought a cookbook. I would watch a blog. I would watch YouTube. I would make something for dinner. And I would make something else for my family, if they didn't want it. And I figured out a way to make different things without making too many different things. But I
Mm,
would experiment and make things and I had fun. And I like how you brought that up because one thing is not going to determine how all the dairy products are, right? There's so
mm.
many different dairy-free products out there. And
Except for dairy-free cheese, which all sucks, right?
but you know what? That's actually gotten better. I mean, it's not healthy, but it has gotten there are some
Yeah,
that
there's
like
a few brands. I'm sorry to interrupt. I just had to put
no,
that
that's
in.
okay. Yeah, I mean, there's some brands that are better than others. But they like when I first had vegan cheese, I was like, eh. But what I want to add to what you're saying is my taste buds changed.
Yes.
So when the longer I went without eating the dairy cheese, and and then I noticed if I had, baked ziti and I used the dairy-free cheese in it, I because the sauce and the spices and the pasta it made my brain think I was having real cheese because it melted the same and it took on the other flavors. And then eventually, and I couldn't like at the time eat like plain vegan cheese on a cracker. But a
Right.
month later, I could. Like my taste
Mm.
buds had adjusted enough. But now, I mean, you got Rebel cheese. Have you ever had Rebel cheese? That is
Yeah, it's very
delicious.
good. Yeah. And if there are people listening to your podcast in England, there's a beautiful cheese company called La Fromagerie, which
Mm,
is phenomenal.
oh,
Yeah, in the
nice.
UK, in London, it's just awesome. I love it so much. But again, it's really high calorie. It's a treat. I
Right.
would do it like once a year, get one of those little bries and stick it in the oven and have dip your crackers in it. It's divine. But yes, high calorie. And if you're looking to lose weight, then high calorie vegan products such as vegan cheese, vegan processed foods, vegan ready meals, vegan cookies, cakes, whatever, they're not going to help anybody lose weight. They'll help you be vegan and not hurt animals, but they may not improve your health to the extent that you deserve and that you really hope for.
Yes, and I'm glad you mentioned that. And that's the point of them because non-vegans will say, well, vegan food is all processed. And well, just like you want your burgers and ice cream and chips and cookies and cakes and pies, so do vegans. The only difference is we're having it minus the suffering, right? So
Yes, yeah,
so there is a place for these things. And look, there are non-vegans out there that they're not being non-vegan doesn't mean you're healthy, right? Right? So
no,
that argument, it all
yeah,
you can be as healthy or as unhealthy as you want as a vegan, just like you can be as healthy or as unhealthy as you want as a non-vegan. It just again allows those of us who don't want to contribute and support suffering to the
mm,
animals, it allows us to have those treats when we want to have them.
yeah. And the thing I put in my book is not only can you have those treats, but you can make those treats yourself so that they are healthy. So you
Yeah.
can make your own corn chips, you can make your own cookies, you can make your own ice cream, as I just mentioned a minute ago. You can make the things that we would call treat foods or whatever, so that they're so healthy that you could have them every day and then you're still going to lose weight and lower your blood pressure and do all the things. Because
Yeah.
you're right, there is a big difference between a processed vegan cupcake and a homemade cupcake made without oil, without sugar, just using fruit or dates or whatever and whole grain flour instead of white flour. You can make that stuff yourself. And it
Yeah.
is really quick and easy. It's quicker. If I want a cookie, it's quicker for me to whip up a batch of cookies in my little air fryer oven. I got one of those Breville toaster ovens than it is for my husband to get in the car and drive down the street to the supermarket and buy me a vegan pack of cookies, which are worse for me. And I could be already sitting having my cup of tea, eating my cookies before he even comes home. So in the book, I try to tell people that you can do it, you can still have it, and it doesn't even have to be bad for you. And if you do want to have, your vegan cupcake or whatever for your birthday, because you don't want to make something ultra healthy and you want to have something, a little bit naughty, well, go ahead. Like, who's stopping you from doing it? What I want people to do is 99% of the time eat the healthy stuff. And the healthy stuff is all the whole foods. So that's, your whole grains, your legumes, your fruits, vegetables, a few nuts and seeds, lots and lots of herbs and spices.
Absolutely. I resonate so much with your messaging here. I want to talk more about your book. When we chatted last week, you told me the story behind the cover, which is a fabulous cover, by the way. Like it makes me want to like reach through the screen and eat what's on there.
Yeah, thank you. So I have a friend in Australia who's a very, very well accomplished graphic designer. He designs food packages for things like M&Ms and M's and stuff like that. He's very, very well respected, and so he knows his stuff, right? He knows what's going to make people buy a product. And I'd come to him with a few ideas. And I thought, I really want to put a bowl on there. So I was thinking like a Buddha bowl with some broccoli and some lettuce and some this and that, and cherry tomatoes and blah, blah, blah. So I whizzed up this kind of mock up to him and gave it to him. And he said, nah, that just doesn't look appetizing. Nobody's going to want to eat that. That's a salad. I'm like, what are you talking about? But to me, it was a really tasty Buddha bowl, right? It had all the
Mhm.
whole foods in it and it just looked awesome. And he said, nah, no one is going to want to eat that. So he made this cover for me with this beautiful tofu and broccoli bowl. It glistens when you see the book itself, which you probably can't, it glistens
Oh,
and it
nice. Yeah, I
makes
see it's
you
glistening.
want to eat it, right? It's like, yum, I want to eat that. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to put on the cover something that somebody would want to eat, because even though I'm happy that vegans read my book because it can help everybody reduce the risk of disease, if the people who are not plant-based pick it up and go, oh, I'd like to eat that, then I've done it, right? Because then they pick up the book and they go, oh, what's that? Oh, that looks interesting. And then I'm trying to get the people who are at the greatest risk of metabolic disease, which are the people who eat the standard Western diet. And if I can get them to pick up the book and then they read the back and they go, oh, this is going to stop me, getting heart disease, or it's going to help me with my diabetes, or whatever it is, then I've done my job, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it
So
just goes
thanks,
to
Peter.
what's that?
Thanks, Peter, for the cover.
Yeah, thank you, Peter. It looks really good. And I hope it sells you a lot of books. And yeah, and that's such a great story too, because it just goes to show that the input of someone who's not vegan can be valuable,
Mm,
especially if you're trying to reach and inspire people who wouldn't think they'd be interested in this, and they're now curious and they want to learn more. You want a cover that's going to grab their attention, right? Not just the vegan folks, but those who wouldn't even consider this until all of a sudden they see this cover and they're like, oh, I want to eat that.
yes. And the sad truth is that as soon as you say the word vegan, you put people's backs up, right? There's like a resistance. So, yes, I've used the word vegan in the book multiple times, but I haven't. Again, I've said I don't like hitting people over the head with a vegan stick. What I'm trying to promote here is fabulous health. Well, the method is being vegan, right? But you don't need to come straight out of the back with that, because if you do, then half the people are going to go, nah, or in fact, 80% of the people are going to go, I'm not interested in that. But if I say to them, look, I can help you reduce your blood pressure, I can help you reduce your diabetes and improve your glucose control, and I can help you reduce your risk of getting heart disease or make your fingers work because, rheumatoid arthritis is not hurting so much, people are going to be listening. And that's
Yeah.
what we want, right? As vegans, we want people to listen. And regardless how we get them there. So I've tried the soft approach. What do they say? Use sugar, not vinegar, to catch a fly.
Right, something like that. You catch more flies with sugar than you do with vinegar.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So I've tried a little bit of sugar on the outside and all the vinegars on the ends. No, that's not true.
Hey, vinegar is good for you.
Yeah, that's true.
I could talk to you all day. I just love your energy. Um, is there an excerpt you would like to share with the audience from your book? Would you like to read a page out loud?
Well, thank you. Yeah, that's lovely of you. Thank you so much for asking. I'm going to read the last page of the book
Okay.
because this is kind of like the essence of what I'm hoping to get for people. So you're not going to see my eyes because I'm going to be reading the book. Okay, here we go. When you ditch the animal products and ultra processed foods and start eating clean, whole plant foods, expect your life to improve drastically. No longer will you be poisoning your body with excess saturated fat, stress hormones, medication residues, and chemical additives. Instead, you'll be flooding your body with health giving nutrients, cancer fighting antioxidants, gut bacteria loving fiber, and a whole host of phytonutrients to help your body reach optimal health. Expect to lose weight, be more alert, get better sleep, have better digestion, more energy, and more sharpness of thought. You may finally be able to climb stairs without wheezing or chase your dog around the park without collapsing after 2 minutes. You may gain confidence in your body and socialize more in your community. I wish all of these things for you and more. We've reached the end of our journey together, these 300 pages that you've already written. But this is just the beginning of your journey to fabulous health. I sincerely hope you embrace the information within these pages with an open heart and a determined spirit. My deepest wish is that you experience profound and positive changes in your health and well-being, reaping the rewards of nourishing your body with whole plant foods and cultivating a healthy lifestyle. Congratulations on taking these important steps towards a brighter, healthier future. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for your trust and for allowing me to share this journey with you. So that's the end of the book. So now you're going to have to buy the book and get the start of the book.
I love that. I love that you read the last page because it sounds like it brings it all together, right? You go on this journey and you're giving people a book that gives them the tools so they can go on this journey and be successful about it. And don't put pressure. It took me 2 years to be vegan. And then I was like vegan for 2 months, and then I went back to fish for a couple months because the doctor told me I needed to have fish, and then I figured out how to live my life without fish, right?
Yes.
So it's kind of like a cha-cha. Sometimes you're going to go a little back and forth, and however long it takes is okay because I made it sustainable. I've been vegan for like 8.5 years, so
yeah,
it's sustainable. And so it just have fun with it. And that's what I did. I had fun by learning recipes and listening to people talk about things like this and yeah, and eventually little by little, because we can't undo our habits overnight, right?
No.
You were talking about our subconscious earlier. It's like a computer, right? Like we have these reactions to things in life and we don't understand why we're having them until we peel back the layers. Coaching can help, therapy can help, self-help books can help. And then when you start peeling back the layers, it's kind of like I say this all the time. It's like the Wizard of Oz, you have the wizard behind the curtain and making this like scary, monster everyone's fearing is really this like old man, hiding behind the curtain, right? That's kind of like our subconscious, right? It's like this thing hiding behind the curtain until we pull it back and we have a look at it. And so it takes time to learn new habits and incorporate things into our lifestyle so that it works for us, because not everyone has the same life. There's no one size fits all approach to doing something. But when you have the tools and you know how to eat healthy, then you can find ways to incorporate all of that into your life so that it fits the way you live and it'll be more sustainable.
Yeah, absolutely. And I thank you for saying tools too, because that's what this book is. It's like a toolbox. So it tells you how to do certain things, like how to clean out your environment so that you're not tempted by food, how to shop the supermarket so that you only come home with healthy things, how to read a nutrition label so that you're not basically cheated on by the food companies because all the shiny packaging on the front looks awesome and then you turn the back over and you go, uh-oh, that's not healthy for me. How to make simple meals that are not going to cause your head to explode and that your kids are going to like. And so there's all these how-tos inside the book, like how to do one thing, so you learn how to do that properly, then you go on to do the next thing, how to do the next thing. And the thing is, knowledge is power. And once you know how to do something and it becomes a habit, because we all go to the supermarket, once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks, whatever, however, sometimes I go every day, whatever. And every time I'm going to the shelf, I'm going to pick up something before I put it in my trolley. This is my action. I'm turning it over. I'm reading the back of the label and I'm seeing what's in it. Now, having said that, before that freaks everybody out and they think, I don't have time to turn over every single thing and read the label, you only have to do that once. Because once you learn the products that are good for you and the ones that are bad for you. You're only going to buy the products that are good for you, right? So then it's easy. Then you go to the supermarket. Oh, I know that that's good for me. I know that that's good for me. And I know that that's good for me. And then you can whiz through the supermarket really quickly. In the beginning, it might take a little bit of time. You may have to stand there with your glasses going, oh, what does this mean? But I give practical exercises within the book so that you can practice at home with stuff that's already in your cupboard, so that you don't look like a nut in the supermarket reading all the stuff. But the other thing that's in the book too is we talked about our subconscious, and there's workbooks. So
Oh,
you can
wow.
see that there's workbooks here so that you can fill in how you're feeling, what you learned, how it affected you, what you can do to change the situation. So my wish for people with this book is that if I met them in the street, or maybe I meet them at a book signing in 6 months and they've already got the book because they bought it like earlier, I want the pages to be turned over. I want there to be sticky notes in it. I want there to be scribbles in it, highlighters in it. I want the cover to be all mangled, because then I know you've been trying the things. It's not just been sitting on a shelf looking all pretty. You've actually done the work, and you're probably reaping all the benefits by the time I see you. So if you come to a book signing and you've got a dirty old mucked up book, I'm going to be so happy.
Well, I hope you come to a book signing near me. I would love to meet you in person.
Yeah, that'd be good fun.
Definitely. Oh, Terry, it's so great chatting with you. I feel like I could talk to you for another 2 hours, but we need to wrap up in a moment. But besides your book, what are some ways that people can connect with you?
Well, I've put everything on my website. I figure one avenue is the best avenue, and that's
Sure.
fabuloushealth.net. I couldn't
Got
get
it.
fabuloushealth.com. It's like $12,000. I'm not paying that much for a URL. So fabuloushealth.net is the URL. And every page you open, they've got the little Facebooky buttons and the YouTubey buttons and all the things. There's information there on how to contact me. If you want to do a one-on-one with me, there's information there in there to do it. But if you live in America only, sorry, everybody else, but if you live in America and you'd like a signed copy of the book, just go to my website, click on order now, and that order will come directly to me. It won't go to Amazon or anything. I've got a box of books in my cupboard, and I will personally sign it for you and send it off to you.
That's amazing. And I'm going to put that link in the notes below this video as well. So if you can't remember it, you can just go below this video and click and go right there and check out all the amazing offerings that Terry has. Well,
Thanks, Jennifer.
Terry, this was really wonderful. I would love, if you ever want to come back and talk about something else, I feel like we could talk more specifically about different topics. You're just really great, and I'm so happy we connected, and I just want to thank you again for, stopping by and having this conversation with me.
Thanks for inviting me, Jennifer. Yeah, it's really fun, isn't it? Because since I've done this book, I'm meeting so many awesome people, and you, one of them, obviously. Yeah, we're having great fun together. And it's just lovely to know that I'm not an island. When you write a book by yourself, you think you're the only plant-based person on the planet and that you're all alone. But I'm meeting so many lovely people, and I really appreciate you getting my message out to your viewers and your listeners. So thanks so much.
No, my pleasure. Our missions are very aligned, and
Mm.
we both had terrible losses because of health, and those losses are helping us do something good. We're finding a way to repurpose that grief and help other people not have to go through that same pain. And so
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of comfort we both can get from doing that kind of work.
Yeah, that's true. And you wouldn't believe, Jennifer, I did another podcast the other day with a gorgeous boy from Let's Eat Plants, and he lost his dad too. So
Mm,
there's a lot of it going around. And that's
yeah.
why we really need to spread this word, because a lot of our parents are dying prematurely, and it's just got to stop, right? Because we're getting older too, and it won't be our parents anymore. It'll be our school friends,
Yeah.
our age, who are dropping off. And we want to try and stop that as much as we can.
Yeah, you bring up a very valid point, right? our parents' generations, they're dying out, and you're right. We're getting older, and so are our peers. And if we can help them get healthier and stay healthy, then that's important too. So,
Absolutely.
well, thanks again. I wish you much success with your book. I'm looking forward to checking it out. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Please go check out Terry's website. I'm going to put the link in the notes below, and I'll see you all real soon. Bye for now.
Bye.